one of the greatest of all time, one of the faces of the UFC, one of the forefathers of the UFC, one of the greatest fighters of all time, a UFC Hall of Famer, regardless of division. This man was the face of MMA for so many years. What a pleasure to have Chuck Liddell on the show. Chuck, are you there?
I'm here. How you doing?
I'm doing so great, Chuck. Thank you so much. How many times have I bothered you over the past 9 or so months to come on this show? At least 30? Would you say 30? How annoying have I been?
Probably at least 30. Yeah, no, but yeah, you're always polite, man. It's always good to hear from you. I don't mind you asking. I just don't get too upset when I say no.
Okay, no, not at all. And it worked out because here you are on episode 400. It's so great to hear from you. People have been asking to hear from you for quite some time. And you've kind of laid low a little bit. You popped up here or there in 2017, but, and this may be a loaded question, if you will, but since parting ways with the UFC, what have you been up to this year? What have you been doing?
Just kind of trying to figure out what I want to do. It kind of lighted fire under my butt to figure out what I wanted to go on and do after I'm done, because I was kind of just coasting, being working for the UFC and just kind of relaxing. And I had a great time. I did a lot of things with my family and hung out a lot. But now I'm kind of felt like I got to get something else going on and get a little more busy. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but still playing around with movie stuff and doing some of that stuff, and talking about opening a gym. So we'll see what happens.
How long did it take for you to get over having to part ways with UFC? Because we all thought that you would be in that role for life. That's what was told to us.
Well, that's what was told to me too. But, it happens. Life changes. And, I think it actually turned out to, I think I took it at first, I took it a little hard. And then I actually looked at it as a blessing in disguise. It's got me, remotivated to go out and find what I really want to do.
Did it affect your relationship with Dana White?
Not really. I mean, it is what it is. It's a business decision. They made a business decision, and that's what it is. I was led to believe that's not what it was going to be, but it happened, and it is what it is.
Did it affect the way you watch the sport? Like, are you not that interested in watching the UFC or MMA in general because of the way things went down?
No, that's not true. I'm still a fan. I'll always be a huge fan of MMA. I like watching small shows. I like the big shows. There's just a lot of shows. If you ask me, I mean, you watch all the, you're spending time doing other things. It's not easy for me to see every fight, but I still follow the sport. I still follow the fights, man. I'll always be a fan.
So once that happened, almost right away, the talk started. Will Chuck return to fighting? Will he fight again? Will he go to Bellator? There's been rumblings. Scott Coker going to lunch with you. They're interested. You posed with Tito, put that out there. People start, speculating. John Hackleman says a thing or two. We see a picture of you with the abs. You're training with Jay Glazer. Like every few weeks, these little things are popping up. So tell us, are you planning a comeback?
Not right now, no. But I never put it out. I never put it out of my mind. I mean, it's always a possibility. You never know. I think ever since I retired, I've always said, I don't know. It's still hard to put that final nail in the coffin. Like, no, I'll never be back. I never try it one more time. So, but we'll see. I mean, it just depends. I mean, the Tito thing. I mean, I was at a charity event. And they had us face off, and I just thought it'd be kind of funny to do it. And I actually had told him I was gonna post that, and then he makes that off comment on there, and I'm like, you know what? All right, you want to play? Okay, let's play. I'll fight him anytime he wants. And he obviously already said, someone said something about us fighting, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. You talk to him. If he'll fight me, I'll fight him. And he said, no way. So I'm not doing it. I'm done. So whatever.
Has Bellator made you an offer to come fight for them?
No, they have not.
But you've talked to Scott Coker, right?
Yeah, I've talked to Scott about doing some promotional stuff for him, and talked to him about some other stuff too. But yeah, I've talked to Scott. I've been friends with Scott. I've known Scott for a long time.
Yeah.
So, but no, there's been no offers.
Okay. Like, would you say the itch is kind of starting to go away, or did parting with the UFC make the itch come back? How would you describe like your interest in actually stepping in there again?
I don't think the itch to fight has ever left me ever. I mean, I got paid to do what I love for a living, and I got paid very well to do it. So, that's going to always be there. It's always going to be like, man, I wouldn't mind getting out there again. That'll always be there. And then it's just that battle, should I, or is it the right thing to do? That's all it comes down to.
What does your wife say about it? I'm sure you talked to her. Does she want like, would she prefer that you sit out, or would she be supportive of you fighting again?
Well, I think she's very supportive whatever I decide to do, but she doesn't want to be part of that decision.
Okay.
She doesn't want to tell me I can't, but she does. She's not gonna, if I decide to, she's not gonna. She wants to support me. So it's a tough place to be in her shoes with that. But she's happy either way. So there's no pressure one way or another coming from my wife.
It also kind of sparked once again because Chael Sonnen openly called you out. He said that, multiple times he did it on this show not that long ago. Do you have any interest in Chael Sonnen?
Well, talk about if I had to pick an easy big name fight. I mean, that to come back, I ease into fighting again. I mean, warm up fight. That's the one you're talking about. I mean, I love Chael, and I don't pay much attention to what he says because he's one of those guys that, he made a name for himself by talking a lot of trash, and he runs his mouth, and he did that because he was a boring fighter. I mean, he wasn't to be, or not that exciting if I'm trying to be nice, but it wasn't that exciting to watch fight. He's like a throwback to the lay and pray guys,
right?
But he made a name for himself, and he made a great career with being. And it's that cartoonish trash talk. It's like he's like a WWE guy. It's over the top. It's always funny, and he's always trying to be funny. It's always, and he's actually, and I know the guy. He's a nice guy. He's all business to him. So, it's hard to watch that and get upset about him trash talking. It's just weird.
Excluding Bellator, has any promotion, like out of the blue, one in Russia or I don't know where, in Dubai, anyone under the sun, has anyone come to you with a boatload of money and said, we'd love to have you fight? I'm assuming someone has. I would think it's crazy if they haven't.
No one's really come to me and said that, but I have had people that I was doing some promotion stuff where, we had an idea. Maybe we should have like a Legends fight. And so that conversation always comes up when I'm having those, we're talking about doing some promotion for their company or helping them promote their league. The conversation always leads to, have you ever thought of doing a Legends fight? Like we had this new idea. We're thinking a Legends fight. Like,
yes.
Yeah, new idea. Yeah, it's brand new. But yeah, no, it always comes up. But I mean, it's just in the right situation. I'm not saying. I mean, if they offer enough money and it's the right, and my body would hold up to getting in shape, I'm not saying I wouldn't say. I would say no.
How do you feel about what's happened to Jon Jones? Prior to Jon Jones coming around, you were the greatest light heavyweight champion of all time. Then Jon Jones comes, and it looks like he's going to blow right through Anderson Silva's record, youngest champion of all time, beating legends left and right. And then all this happens, one thing after the next. The most recent one, he gets stripped, and now DC is the champion once again. This is your division, so I'm sure that you feel somewhat attached to it, a little more so than the other divisions. How do you feel about what's happened to Jon Jones?
Well, I mean, he's his own worst enemy, and he was such he's a great fighter. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why he decided it seemed like he decided in his off season at one time to start using steroids. And, obviously he's got his time in court, I guess, still, I don't know. But, it seems real obvious, his increase in size, and stuff. But I don't know that he needed that. And it just seemed like he got maybe around the wrong people, got around the wrong idea, and decided he wanted to and now he's gotten caught. It's sad. I was just listening to you talk to DC for a little bit. I'm with DC. I still want to see him fight again. So I'm torn with that though too. If you want to stop guys from using performance-enhancing drugs, there has to be stiff penalties when you get caught. There's always going to be a cat and mouse game between guys trying to catch them and then trying to beat the test and whatever. So you've got to make it cost you if you lose. If you mess up and you get caught, it needs. The progressive suspensions is what you need. You need it to get longer and longer the more times you get caught doing things. But I wouldn't want to see a 4-year. I don't want to see him. I still want to see him fight again. So,
do you think this calls into question everything that he's done in the past?
That's what happens when anybody gets caught. Everyone goes back to everything. I don't know. He didn't. It looked like there was a huge change in a short period of time. That one break he took for a little, he was off for a little bit. It seemed like he grew a lot over that time. So I don't know. I seem to think like that's when it started. I don't think, but I don't know. He hasn't come out and said anything. He hasn't come out and, it's another tainted supplement, right?
That seems to be what they're saying. Yeah.
So I don't know. And, he gets his time in court and we'll see what happens with that too.
So, okay, some people feel like USADA is the best thing to happen. Some people feel like USADA is the worst thing to happen to MMA. The fans that don't really care because, hey, I just want to see these fighters. I don't care what they're doing. You fought in the pre-USADA era. Do you like the fact that USADA is involved, or would you rather there not be the stringent testing 24/7, 365? You have to check in, whereabouts, all that stuff.
It's kind of like I've said for a long time. It's like you either have to do something like that, like the USADA thing, where you're trying to catch everybody and do everything right, or just not worry about it. I'd like or not worry about it. Let guys train and play and compete. So what do you want to do? It's one of those things. It's like it was just like the same thing with when they get the exemption when they had so they get the TRT exemption.
Yeah.
I thought that was ridiculous. I thought I was at an athletic board meeting in California, and basically one guy said it's like getting a doctor's note to use steroids. And I thought, well, you're right. These guys, that's not fair. Why are you going to give these guys exemptions and let them use steroids and not just if you're not just going to let everybody do it?
Right.
It's better for the sport if everyone's clean. Everyone comes on a fair playing field, and it's safer for athletes, it's safer for the fighters. It's just a safer thing for fighters. So I think the USADA thing is good.
Again, like I said, this is no news here. You're one of the pillars of the UFC, of the sport, one of the most recognizable faces ever. Are you shocked that it was sold for $4.025 billion? Like, what do you think when you hear that number?
Man, hey, congratulations to the guys, man. They did a great job of building a sport and a company, and they were able to sell it for a lot of money. So that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy amount. I wasn't aware they were even selling. I heard the rumors and then talked to Dana. He said they weren't. So, then they ended up selling a couple weeks later. So I wasn't really privy to what was going on, but that's a high number, man. And I'm happy for them. And, they took a risk for a long time. Frank and Lorenzo took a risk for quite a while trying to make it work, and it worked for him.
Do you still speak to Dana?
I talk to him every once in a while, yeah.
Okay. Because it was funny seeing him in the role of being the promoter for Conor McGregor. It reminded me of when he was solely your promoter when you went to Pride. Like, he was just backing one guy, and he was able to kind of openly root for that one guy as opposed to the role of UFC president. Did you enjoy the whole McGregor Mayweather experience? Did you think that was, some fighters said that was bad for MMA? Some fighters think that it opens the floodgates. How did you feel about it?
Oh, I don't think it was bad. I mean, he performed well. I mean, it was his first boxing match against one of the best ever, and he went out and performed better than you could expect. You know, better than we could have wanted him to. So, I think it was great for the sport, and it brings any crossover fan. Anytime you get crossover fans or people involved to try the sport that never have, you know, that's when it grows the sport. So anytime that happens, it's good for the sport. You know, we're getting crossover fans. We'll get bunch of boxing guys that'll check out Conor McGregor's next fight.
Yeah.
You know, and fights in MMA. So it doesn't hurt the sport at all. And I think it's hilarious when you start talking about these boxers saying they're going to come over to MMA. You know, I think someone asked me at TMZ about one of the guys. I'm like, dude, I don't know what he does. I don't know what his background is. If he's got a wrestling background or he's got something, but he better have something. He ain't gonna last very long if he doesn't have a wrestling or a jiu-jitsu background to help him with his boxing. You know, so coming back to the UFC is not, guys from boxing coming to the UFC is not gonna do. They're not gonna do so well.
And so now, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? Like, what are the projects that you're working on, or are you just kind of trying to figure things out right now?
I'm just trying to figure things out, just kind of taking meetings and talking to people about what my next move is. So, you know, and I'm working out, getting back in shape a little bit, and having a little fun doing that.
Great to catch up with you, Chuck. Really appreciate the time. It was so good to talk to you after all this time. Thank you for finally saying yes, and I promise now that I will stop bothering you at least for a little bit.
All right, man. I'll let you know if there's anything interesting news comes up. So
please,
I go back on anything going on. It's more interesting than this.
Please, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. All the best to you and your family.
All the best to you, man, and congratulations on the 400th show, man.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. There he is, Chuck Liddell, stopping by, the Iceman, one of the greatest of all time. So great to hear from him.